It's time for Undone. To help heal and grow you, here's your host, Don McJoy.
Good evening, my friends. I can't hear myself, first of all. Let's fix that. Maybe I need to... Can we... Oh, well, that's okay. There. Anyways, good afternoon, evening, whatever. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We are on Undone with Don McJoy and my friend. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. That's why he's a good man.
Eric rocks.
He does. He's saved my soul every episode, and he comes up with even more things to help me, updates me. He got me back on Spotify, and so now we're updated. So
it's the energy.
It is the energy. So this is my friend Jeff Millar-Sax. Everybody, welcome.
Hi.
Yay. So how do we know each other, Jeff?
We were in a band together.
We were in a rock band. He got me out on he called me out because back in my college days, Eric, I don't know if you know about your age, I was down in Cal Baptist lifestyle in Riverside. And, you know, that's when everything, the street music, all that stuff comes out when you start school down there. And I used to sing with my friends on the corner for fun. And then I used to sing at school. And so you brought that out in me this last summer when I did a birthday party with my mom, and it was a big event. We did it in my parking lot.
It filled the lot.
It did, and we had an ice cream truck and full-on barbecue for my dad's
vintage
cars as well. And Jeff brought me out of my shell, and he's like, "Don, you're a musician." I was like, "Yeah, just kidding," and very timid, right? Now, music heals me. Right? And did it heal you?
Oh, heck yeah.
So today we're talking about giving shelter or gimme shelter. You know, I don't like to spell that on an advertisement. Gimme. What is Gimme? That doesn't sound the way I would do things. So I thought, well, let's say give me shelter. And that's the name of your thing, right? Your CD.
Well, giving shelter.
Giving shelter.
But there's a story behind how it came to be giving shelter.
Right. So let me tell why I named the show that, though. And then when I met you, you allowed me to come into your space and learn what it's like to be around a bunch of musicians again. And you're like, that's okay. Just pick up a mic. And I'm like, why? I don't want to talk to, I don't want you to hear my voice, right?
But you have a beautiful voice.
That's kind of you, Jeff.
And no. In two ways. Number one, your singing voice. Mm-hmm. But number two, what comes out of here.
The heart.
You have a beautiful voice.
Thank you very much. That's what I meant to say, and why I named that is because you allowed us to come into your space, learn your story about your dog and a cancer survivor. You're a cancer survivor. I'm a cancer survivor. We believe in empathy. There's just like a lot of win-win-wins with you. And you're like, hey, you want a CD? Well, every musician wants a CD, whether we want it or not. We're like, yes, because we want to know if it's interesting. And then you tell us your story a little bit, and I'm going to entice the listeners. So if you want to call in and talk to my friend Jeff, or if you know Jeff, it would be amazing if you called in, because he's a fun guy in the world, but you've been all over, right?
Yeah.
In the music industry. So you're interesting, clever, witty, cancer survivor. And I got some friends out there that have cancer right now, and this show's for you. Okay. And so my friend Jeff, I named it Giving Shelters because you gave me a place to open my heart again, which was to sing. And then to do that for my family members when they're begging me to play piano again. And I'm not ready for that commitment. So you allowed me to do the one thing that I could control.
Two things.
Yes.
Tambourine.
Oh, and then I'm like, I'm bored. And we were singing, you say it's your birthday, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, that needs a tambourine. And you're like, here, have it. And I go, have what? You have a tambourine in this house? And then I lost it, right? So you gave me a place to calm down, but use my weird energy and eccentric, awkward way to figure it out, right? And so you gave me a shelter.
And a buddy.
This dog. So tell us about your relationship, Jeff. Let's get right into it. If you want to call in, it's 909-792-5222 or 888-909-1050. And if you want to listen for for some reason and not call in, that's cool. It's 720-835-3099. So you are on Undone with Don McJoy and Jeff Millar-Sax. Go ahead and tell us.
And Sweet Pea.
And the Sweet Pea. Tell me about everything in this. We want to know you. Tell us.
Wow.
Tell us about this.
Well, Sweet Pea is
Yeah.
the last of 3 rescue dogs that when my wife died of cancer 10 years ago, I was left with.
Yes.
There were 3, and
Yes.
she was the youngest.
Okay.
And she is probably, though she was the smallest, the toughest, the bravest, the sweetest, and also the most musical.
Sure. The thing I like about this dog is that it fits my personality.
Oh, she loves you.
I know. It's an empath dog. I think most animals are empathetic to the needs of their caregiver. This dog right now, you guys, if you can't see it, you can look it up on YouTube later. Look at this. It's like a little baby Toto. Hi,
Yes.
perfect dog for me.
She's a really good girl. She's had cancer 3 times.
Okay.
The latest was small cell GI lymphoma.
Yes.
We take the same medicines that I get from an amazing oncologist in Canada.
Okay.
She, like me, in remission.
Yeah.
And she's also gone through, she had a December of 2018, she had her gallbladder removed and then had surgery on both eyes because her tear duct stopped working because that was a side effect of one of the cancers she had.
My goodness.
And if I had the time to find it on my phone, I would show you the picture, and I'll show you later, where right after her gallbladder was removed, they had a warning sign on her cage at the veterinary hospital. It says, "Caution, cage jumper."
Oh
She's
my.
tough.
She is. She's
She
got
is
energy.
tough. And now that she's almost blind, and we went through an adventure in the house with a flood that we were living on the slab as opposed to living on a prayer for 4.5 months before we finally got a floor. She's been finding her way around and learning the new floor and the new ways of the house.
Kind of like us people when we go through an illness, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of learning a new way to walk and talk. And so she is part of the love portion that I like this section of the show because it's always the beginning.
Yeah.
Is like what makes you be in love with life? And so this dog is your service animal.
She's
for one.
she's my road dog.
Your road dog.
We've gone,
Nicely said.
We've gone on the road. She sits on stage with me, and until her last cancer, she was probably one of the, no offense,
No.
but Sweet Pea was probably one of the best singers I've ever.
Oh, she
Worked with.
sings. Okay.
So maybe later she's up for it. She hasn't sung in a long time.
Okay.
But she's got a couple of favorite songs, and maybe we can coax it out of
She
her.
might. And she likes to turn in circles when you play the drums and stuff. And
Yeah.
this dog loves band music, rock band, the louder the better. And
That's the truth.
right. So I wanted to talk to you about your friends. So how did you get into the music industry? How many instruments can you play? Let's just start there.
I call myself a singer-songwriter who hides behind different instruments in case people throw tomatoes.
Okay.
Don't get any ideas.
Okay.
But guitar was my first instrument.
Okay.
I play keyboards because I write with them and they're a good stage prop. And I picked up the bass for the band that we were in.
What did we call it? We had a name.
I don't know.
Well, we played a lot of Beach Boys songs, so we
Yeah.
were kind of in that beach. It was beach theme, so I had like a little hula dress on, and Allison was with us. But you took the bass because everybody else had other instruments, and you
Yeah.
knew it needed to be filled.
Yeah.
And so you were okay. So tell me more. Can you
And
play the saxophone?
No, that's one I don't. But I also play percussion. I'm with a band based out of Chicago called the Shadows of Night.
Shadows of Night, and that's
that
also
was
here on
very
the CD.
famous in the 60s for bringing the song Gloria that Van Morrison wrote. They
Yes.
brought that to America.
Okay.
Van Morrison's with the band Them was a B-side, and it didn't get any radio play. It also didn't get radio play because back in the day, AM radio was very prude,
Right.
and there was one line in the song that was too risque for 1965, 1966.
Really?
The Shadows version changed that line, and it was a top 10 song that year.
Congratulations. That's
So,
huge. Wow. Okay, so that's why
but-
you're interesting. Here we go. Now you're starting to pull it out. That's what I
My,
want.
my hair's not gray because I'm in a band that was famous in the 60s.
No, right.
It's because of the long commutes back and forth to LA
Yeah, and I
being
have
on being on the road.
a lot of my friends have said these things. You know, that's how radio started. That's how music started, and you're one of the history makers of our time.
Well, now you
are.
sound like a guy that was in the audience in San Francisco
Why
a
is
couple of
that?
years ago.
Why is that?
We did a gig in San Francisco, and at the time, the singer was the only original member of the band.
Mm-hmm.
I've been with the band since 2012.
Okay.
We're doing this gig. It was around 2018, and we're up on stage at the end of the show. These couple of older guys came up to me. Wow, you guys are great. I remember seeing you guys at the Cellar in Arlington Heights in Illinois. And I said, yeah, they were great back then. That wasn't me. He says, no, you were there. I remember you playing your tambourines and singing and stuff. I was 5 years old.
Oh my goodness! So it was not appropriate.
No, but they'd been
doing their thing.
partaking.
So I have a friend on the phone. His name is Dave Zucker. He's on the phone for you. Would you
my
like to
God.
talk to him?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, Dave. Hi, Dave Zucker. You're on Undone with Don McJoy and your friend Jeff Millar-Sax. How are you?
Good. I gotta say, Jeff is one of the most talented musicians I've ever met.
Oh, you are so sweet. How much money do I owe you?
You don't.
And
Seriously,
he is.
thank you.
This is why I wanted to bring you on. So tell us about how talented he is. Give us a story.
Pardon me?
Give us a story about how you know he's a talented musician.
Oh well, I needed some songs for a project, and the next morning he calls me up at 7 a.m. and starts. He's got it already out and written, and I'm like blown away.
Yeah.
And then when I had listened to "Give Me Shelter," the CD, that was an awesome CD.
It spoke to you, huh?
Yes, I'm here in New York, and I have a lot of musician friends, and they loved it themselves.
He works with Leon Hendrix, Jimmy's brother. He works.
And
David
I
is.
was with Alan Merrill, who wrote the
Yeah.
song "I Love Rock and Roll," who happened to love, before he passed away, happened to like Jeff's music.
Oh.
Yeah, David is a screenwriter, a comedy writer.
Mm-hmm.
He's been around the business for many years, and why he hangs out with me, I don't know. He's been involved in startup ventures in the music industry, a thing, My Jam TV, that was really an open door for the indie world,
Right.
and still is internationally. He and I met because David was involved with Dr. Bodai, who is a breast cancer fundraiser, who has a program that raises money through stamps
Yeah.
and for breast cancer patients. And he introduced me to Dr. Bodai, and then we started talking about a movie that he was writing called Dying Alone, which is about a breast cancer patient. And I don't want to spoil the punchline. When the movie is out, you have to see it, because I've read the screenplay, and it's really, really sensitive. It's really beautiful. And it's kind of what Giving Shelter is about, which is hope.
Right.
And so David asked for some help. He was working on something, and I put together a voiceover teaser for the project with one of the songs off of Giving Shelter, and a friendship was born.
Right.
And during COVID, David was working on another project, which I can't wait to finish my music room and get this thing written and not written, but recorded. Can I say the name of the project, David? Is it okay?
Sure.
It's My COVID Valentine.
Oh, great name.
Very apropos. So he asked me write the song for the thing, and of course, because knowing David and knowing how people have been so, as you know, tense, uptight.
Very much. We were just talking about that.
Tightly wrapped.
Yes.
I'm not going to write some schmaltzy love song. I did something Ramones
Nice.
kind of punk.
There we go. There's some punk rock. So,
Yeah.
David, do you listen to Jeff frequently? Do you listen to the CD often? It lifts your spirits. What does it do for you?
Oh, it lifts my spirits. I always have it on in the background, and especially when company comes over, I always play it for people. I always send it out to everyone.
That's
to
awesome.
listen
Yeah,
to his
he's
music.
been-
But then he was working on Shadows of the Night,
Yes.
which he put, oh my gosh, thousands of hours in, and that turned out to be an amazing project that he finished. It was quite an accomplishment, and I was so proud of Jeff for doing that.
Thank you so much, and
A lot
thank
of
you.
people don't realize how talented Jeff is, and they need to know that.
That's one of the reasons why I'm spotlighting him tonight. He's a good friend of mine personally, just through helping our
Oh,
family
he's a
out.
good-hearted person, and he loves his dog, and
I know this dog is
But
like
he's-
better than me in strength,
oh,
really.
absolutely, his dog rules. But in all kinds, Jeff is the type of person that at if you need him 3:00 in the morning, he'll be there for you.
That's what he was telling me tonight. He's like, you don't need to go through your journey alone. I just got through COVID, and we're both cancer survivors too. And it's kind of a unity when music unites, and the way that you express yourself, I can tell it means a lot. And
Jeff's tough,
yeah, I think so.
gentle soap, but he's tough. He's not gonna let anything knock him down.
I love it. He's showing me the lyrics of this, My COVID Valentine. And
Oh yeah, that's a cute little movie I wrote.
yeah.
It's about a guy who I don't want to take the spotlight. It's just about a guy who dates this girl, and she's afraid to come out. So he starts. He gets a computer screen, and he puts her live. He does FaceTime all the time with her, and to that she's not, show her that she needs to come out and stop. She's missing life.
I can tell. I can read it. My COVID Valentine, I want to make her mine, but we're in quarantine, so I can't see her. My COVID Valentine, her eyes are so divine. One day I'll have to ask if she'll remove her mask so I can see her.
I wanted him to do it as a punk version.
Yeah, man.
Like
Ramones.
Yeah.
Like a little Ramones of Sid Vicious.
There
Yeah.
we go. Okay, you're some rock and roll. I was
we went
waiting for that.
Ramones. Yeah, we went Ramones
I'm
on
thankful
this one.
because once you get rock and roll involved, everybody understands a little bit, and we're
Oh, Jeff is all rock and roll. You look at him; he looks like a corporate executive.
very
but he's
much.
really-
He used to have long hair,
Yeah,
from what I saw in his
inside,
pictures.
It's
Yeah.
all rock and punk.
Very much. So this is why people don't know. They don't know about me. I'm a major punk fan, man. Like
Yeah.
all those things that started. There's a lot of punk bands that started in Riverside, all the way up Inland Empire, and so that's where we're at. And I gotta take a break. Thank you, Dave. I really appreciate you
thanks for
being on the
having me on.
show.
love you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And
Keep
we'll
knocking it out
talk.
the park.
We'll be
Bye-bye.
friends. We'll be friends too. Okay. I can't wait to talk to you soon because I think I need to know you
He's-
as a unit with Jeff and get to know you personally. And I think listeners like you in New York, that's a huge step for me. Okay. I started this in Redlands, California. And for you to call in from another side of the country, it means a lot. And we're praying for you.
I told you we're going international.
We
We've
are,
got
man.
Australia, we've got England, we've got Scotland.
Yeah.
We got New York.
Okay.
International. That's a whole other country.
So I believe that since you've been everywhere, I'm going to play this Elton John song for you just for a little teeny fun break. Rocket Man,
Oh,
because
that's my
friend
favorite.
loves this song.
0 hour, 9 a.m. And I'm gonna be high as a kite by then. I miss the earth so much. I miss my wife. It's lonely out in space on such a timeless flight. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh no, 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 I'm a rocket man, burning out his fuse out here.
I know that song. Everybody loves Elton John these days, and I almost brought my Elton John shoes. They're red. Okay,
Oh, wow.
They're like a cross between Pee Wee Herman and Eric. You would love them. They give me like 4-inch. I give me 4 inches, so I'm like 5'2" maybe, and I kind of weighed in at like, I don't want to tell you my weight today. It's a little thin, but I put them on. And I am taller than a man, and I don't like that. So I was gonna bring them and sit them right here in the front, but then I realized I run a nonprofit, and so you're on Undone with Don McJoy, and Don McJoy is my persona, but my real job, Jeff, I run a nonprofit in mental health, and I do it here. I've been here for on and off 12 years, but born and raised in Redlands, and so. We do mental health. We have a low-cost clinic. We do employee assistance programs where we help your employees whenever they're in need. If they're going through certain issues you don't want to talk about because you're the employer, you just refer them to me. And then I do personal growth development coaching now. And when I opened Red Shoe, I opened it for causes for my family because we believed in helping people with cancer. Okay, and we started this group called Forget Me Not. And my mom made it this beautiful array of art projects because when you have cancer, you don't want to talk about what she says, the C word. Well,
Right.
She's never had cancer. Okay. And then I never had cancer. And I thought, I don't deal with death and dying. I don't do that, but you guys could do that. And I would refer out. And Red Shoe Project became a project of many things. It became a project of art. It became a project of playing music and then painting to the music. It became embracing the Redlands Bowl and understanding entertainment. That's mental health. Doing Airfest and Rock and Roll Fest and things that brought me joy. And I think it brought a lot of people joy. And then COVID hit, and it's kind of like, well, we now have to go internal. Now, what are we going to do with all this energy? And so people got dogs, right?
Yeah.
And they also got animals of all sorts, right? And I had my 2 cats, but I also had music. And so I used that medium with Red Shoe. When COVID shut down, I turned on the entertainment light, man. I became fun and energetic about mental health because I had survived cancer once
Yeah.
and changed.
That's enough.
Yeah,
That's-
I know. And the
Now
cause
you're
of it,
living.
right. And the cause of the cancer, I think, had to do with my resentment, my anger that I didn't process. And it developed into kidney stones, and there's health issues, and a lot of us don't talk about those things.
Yeah.
And when I met you, you're like, oh no, I got stuff. And just tonight, you were telling me you and your dog are on the same medications
Yes.
because you have cancer still, or you're in remission?
I'm in remission.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I don't have cancer. I
Great.
survived it again.
Again, there
Again.
it is.
That's
Nicely
2
said.
times. When I was 15, doctors said I wouldn't make 16.
Mm-hmm.
And that went on for a decade. Talk about messing with your head.
Yeah.
And here I am. Dare I say my age?
You can say whatever you want. This is
Okay.
your show.
All
you
right.
made the rules.
I'm 61. All
Nicely
those
done.
doctors are taking a dirt nap. So
Okay, well,
today I was at City of Hope again
Mm-hmm.
and for a checkup from the urology oncologist, my favorite.
yeah,
And got a clean bill of health on that part.
good for you.
So, in fact, I
Congratulations.
was busy consulting the doctor on some things she should do to help her with recovery from an injury
See?
based on what I've learned on all this alternative treatment that I do.
Right.
And that's kind of what Giving Shelter is about.
Thank you for saying that because I wanted to ask you, it's a project, okay? Just like Red Shoe Project, we're
Yes.
doing different projects, illuminating light and helping people grow in the community by what they're already doing. So, what is this project? Tell me about it.
Well, I lost my wife to cancer a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
It seems weird to say that that much time has flown by. She had lung cancer.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in hotels near the hospital where she was getting treatment for over 6 months. We had over $72,000 worth of out-of-pocket medical and medical-related expenses,
Yeah,
despite having good health insurance. Despite having good health insurance.
this is what I'm hearing as
We-
well from people.
We could have lost our house, but we had just paid the last mortgage payment the month she got cancer.
Wow.
We paid it off August 1st. August 30th, we found the spot on her lung, and the journey began.
Mm-hmm.
I learned an awful lot of things. First of all, love overcomes gross every time.
That's right.
Every time. And this is why she's still here, because
Agreed.
I learned how to clean wounds. I learned how to administer injections,
Yeah.
IVs, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And I learned about gaps in the system. One of the things is there is no nationally organized plan to help people with housing, the biggest bill everybody has,
Sure.
whether it's like we had to do, staying in hotels so we could be right by the hospital, or covering rent or mortgage. There are people, I was reading horror stories in the first few months of Janine's battle, that were losing their jobs, because they couldn't
Right.
do their job and care for their loved one,
Yeah.
losing their homes because there was no help.
Sure.
There's lots of little pockets and lots of local things. Some hospitals have discounts with hotels, but if you're long term,
Right.
that's
Then what?
still a lot. Then what? So
Amongst the nutrition costs too, to
Right.
keep up with the juicing and things, and
Oh
the
my God.
traffic that you have to go back and forth with gas. And
Right.
That's it adds up, and you don't realize it. And so this project is to go towards people like this.
Well, yeah, essentially, I learned a lot of gaps, the housing, the money, the things. I spend over $15,000 a year on my health.
My goodness.
All the vitamins and supplements, the Canadian meds that are not covered by insurance, all these things. And
Your dog. as
Sweet
well.
Pea has her own medical bills that are almost as much as mine. But I learned about alternative treatment. I learned about so many different things. This all ties in.
Right. I know.
I have a lot of rock star friends. I've endorsed for some musical instrument companies, and one of them, Saga Musical Instruments, had me perform at their booth at the NAMM show, which is the big musical instrument trade show.
Right. And your IMS Technologies was there, right?
Right. That evolved from there, because as I released Giving Shelter, I also developed a line of tuners and worked on some very high-end speakers as other ways to raise money and raise awareness.
Sure.
So all the profits from those sales go into the fund as well. I performed for Saga, and I'd bring rock star friends there. And when Janine was sick, I couldn't go.
Right.
So I came back in January 2012. It was the first show back after Janine had passed. And I asked various friends to perform with me. And the drummer at that point said he'd like to do it. When Janine died, it was before I understood social media.
Right.
So I would send an email blog out to
Okay.
keep everybody posted. And about 2 weeks before she died, I started to hear this song in the radio in my head every morning when I'd wake up. And it was, as the days wore on, as it came closer to her passing, it kept getting louder and louder. And it's like, holy cow, I know that song. I wrote that song.
No.
And I wrote
Wow.
that song at my grandfather's funeral, staring at my mother, trying to figure out what she was going through. And all of a sudden, this song meant everything to me, because the person who was the most pivotal in my life was slipping away.
Right.
When she passed, and I sent out the blog notification that she had passed, I included the demo of the song that I made. And then came the January 2012 NAMM show. And I was asked to perform, brought a bunch of rock star friends and all that, and we're playing and performing. And the drummer that I use says, hey, you're a pretty good songwriter. And he said, hey, you're a really good entertainer. Why haven't you done a record? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm 50 years old. I'm not going to be a rock star anymore. At the time, I don't know who was the biggest thing then. It might have been Hanson or something,
Oh, my.
Mbop or something like that. I don't remember. But I thought to myself, I don't need to be a rock star. What am I doing with this? And then I thought to myself, hey, if I'm going to do something, it's not an ego project. It's got to have meaning. It's got
From your
to
heart.
do something.
Right.
And I went home that at the end of that NAMM show, and I turned on PBS, and there was an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert on, and the Earth,
Awesome.
Wind, and Fire album was being promoted. And if you buy the album, it, $20 donation, you get this. If you buy the $100 donation, you get the faux leather bound with the fake signatures, and blah 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
And an idea was born.
Okay.
And this person said, I'll help you. I'll help you make a record. I'll help you with it. Now, when a friend says I'll help, if I say I'll help, I'm not asking for anything in return. I'm going to help you because I have the experience. I have the whatever it takes to help.
Sure.
He wanted the money, he wanted the songs, he wanted everything, and I don't want to go on the negative
Well,
side.
that happens too,
Yeah.
and a lot of people have felt that too during your time of need.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I only set that up to tell the story of giving shelter.
Yeah.
So I have this idea that there's this gap about the housing. And I was becoming friends with the doctor in Canada and started referring other patients because he was doing a miracle for my wife in just 5 days on a medicine that's not used in this country. It's called DCA,
Okay.
Delta Charlie Alpha dichloroacetate, that unlocks the cell's own cancer-fighting capabilities. It's used in Canada, it's used in other parts of the world, but it's never been able to go through FDA
Sure.
clinical trials here because the universities that have tried to do it run out of money. Pharmaceuticals don't want to invest in it because they can't patent it.
And so, what year was this at?
I started the recording in 2012. It took 2 years to finish, 2014.
Right.
And that's where the name of the record comes into play.
And what was your favorite song on this album? Can I ask?
Um,
If you were to look it up, and we can look it up online, right? Where can we go? Because I think people want to check it out too.
givingshelter.bandcamp.com.
Bandcamp.
Yeah, one time at Bandcamp.
I like. Let me just remind listeners we're on Undone with Don McJoy and Jeff Millar-Sax. If you want to go check this beautiful CD out, I'm not meaning to cut you off. It's
No, no,
just
no.
I got to do the thing, and I got to call my sponsor out, right?
Yeah.
And he's a fellow radio disc jockey. I interviewed him. His name is Stu. And he was on KCAL for years with Jimbo.
Yes, I heard your interview with them. It was fantastic.
Did you? They're
it
funny,
was so
right?
fun.
Well, I wanted to lighten it up a little bit because Stu was like, "Hey, I want to support something like this because he started early, and I know he listens, but." He's like you know, he's always doing something for other people, and he's always, same with Jim, they're always doing projects together. There's certain things privately from a place of sadness, they start something new. And I would say that's how Undone has started. My mental and emotional health was getting low. And the fact that you understand cancer patients, it's not that you had a cancer patient, you have one and you are one. You saw the deficit and met the need.
Trying. I'm
Yeah,
working.
you are doing.
Not trying. I'm working on it.
Yeah, this is your project that you will do probably till the end of your days here.
Yeah, and hopefully it continues. My goal, excuse me for interrupting
Go ahead.
you, but my goal with this was I want to be the pebble that causes the ripple in the water that
Very
creates the
nice.
wave
Nicely said.
that gets the tide turning.
Thank you for
and,
saying that.
and really affects positive change
That's
in
right.
how we treat our ill people, our sick people.
And tell me real quick, I'm not changing subjects, but tell me about your Christopher Speakers opportunity. I'd like people to look you up on the line, so call your stuff out, okay?
Okay, that's ChristopherSpeakers.com. That's part of one of the fundraising vehicles. They're
There we go.
really high-end referencing speakers that this all goes back to this whole story.
this
So I
project.
will weave it in.
I promise.
Okay, so
I won't take you off track too much. I just love all the things
Thank
you're
you.
doing. There's so much, and there's only so much time.
Thank you. So
you know.
here we go. The person who originally said he was going to help produce the record tried to steal it.
Oh, goodness.
So I had to strip out all the things, including his part of it, that I didn't like,
Right.
and bring it back to where it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I had 3 drummers in mind to do the repair work and
Right.
redo the drums. I have all these amazing people: Michael Landau, Neil Steubenhaus, Jimmy Haslip, John Jorgensen, who's from Redlands.
Yes.
And real big, just a dear friend. I love him, love him to death. Lee Thornburg from Tower of Power, Doug Webb from Rod Stewart's band on the horns, just Wilfredo Reyes Jr. from Chicago playing percussion. I mean, it's a who's who. Jeff Babco,
Wow.
James Taylor's
Keep
keyboard
going,
player.
Look at you.
Darren Johnson is one of the other keyboard players who was Miles Davis's last keyboard player, and
Yeah.
with Carly Simon. I mean,
These are all musicians.
These
on
are all the
this-
musicians on this record.
album.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dang. That's amazing.
And so I had a very short list of drummers that I wanted to help. Oh, the singers: Bobby Kimball from Toto,
Yeah.
the person I'm about to talk about, Bob Reynolds, who I wanted Paul Rogers. He wasn't available, and the person who is so responsible for this album sounding so good, my soul brother Joshua Egan, who's the most incredible drummer you've heard, but didn't know you were hearing because he's ghosted and repaired so many more famous
Oh,
people's parts
really?
in the studio, in addition to being on some really hip projects in his own right. He not only came in to redo the drums, but he took ownership and produced the project, and he and the people at the Steakhouse recording studio in North Hollywood, Lee Bench, engineered the record and gave me the studio. Ken Isaac-Nagel, these are guys who you see on other records, big name records.
Sure.
Was one of the
awesome.
engineers. Sam Medill, who's one of the best mastering people on the planet.
You should see
did
your
the
face.
mastering.
Everybody, you should see his face as he's just talking to me like, yeah, you know them. I was like,
They're-
how would I know all these people? But because of
you look on the back of albums or CDs and
Yeah.
you read the things of who's who on it, and these are names that people will recognize because they see them on so many other projects.
See, I'm grateful that you
Anyway.
mentioned that, because your face, the reason why I was going to say that is because your face lights up when you talk about your friends.
Because all
It's
these
amazing to see your
people
face.
came in and did this out of love. They
Yes.
didn't do it for money. They didn't do it for session work. And this is the best part of the story.
Yeah.
So we're doing a session, and Josh is replacing drums. It's called guerrilla drumming. And he's just going track after track after track. And into the studio walks Bernard Fowler of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Bernard's the tall guy who is the lead background singer who has been doing their vocal arrangements for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Bernard is somebody I've known.
Uh-huh.
We've had dinners together, but I bet he couldn't pick me out of a lineup of one.
Sure.
Until this night, he walks in the studio and he hears Bobby Kimball singing the opening song on the record called Until Tonight, which is Toto's next hit, but they just didn't know it.
Right.
I wrote it with Bobby's voice in my head.
Uh-huh.
And I never do that. I usually have an innocuous voice in my head, or Joe Cocker, because he's one of my absolute favorite singers.
Well, that's good to know about
Yeah.
you. I didn't know that. Okay.
So I wrote this with only Bobby could sing it. Bernard walks in just as we're playing back the track. And Josh and Lee Bernard comes in, wow, this is good. What's this? What's this? Oh, we're just, this is Jeff's thing. And Bernard looks over, yo, what's up? And,
Sure.
he says, this is really good. I want to sing this. And they're telling him the story about how my wife died of cancer. I'm trying to raise money to help people.
Sure.
And the original producer, drummer, tried to steal the project. And I had to lawyer up and all this mess.
Yeah.
And as Bernard is hearing them tell the story, Bernard's tall. He's an intimidating looking man when his eyes get big and
Yeah.
he leans into you and you think that he's going to stomp you down.
Yeah.
And his eyes are getting red. He's getting mad. And he comes over and he's looking at me and he moves over to me closer and closer and closer. And there's this coffee table there and he slams his hand down on the table. He says, no, no, no. And he keeps hitting the table. And he looks at me and he says, I'm going to help you make a great record. I promise you, this record will be great. I'll make sure of it.
Wow.
But I want to sing that song. And I said, look, I really can't because that was for Bobby. But I've got another one that I think would be amazing for you. And that's Magic, the second song on the record, which was something I wrote about Janine's dying. And it starts off as, I don't feel like singing much today unless you're playing the blues. And all these bluesy, woeful things,
Right.
It would be a country song. My dog died, my truck ran away,
It's pretty common these days.
that kind of thing. And then it turns into a song of hope of, then it hit me, it's a brand new day.
That's what my name means. New beginning, brand new day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
Awesome.
it's a very uplifting, the whole album is,
Yeah.
I think, hopeful.
And a love note to your family and friends.
Yes. And
About that.
And Bernard kept his word.
Yeah.
So we finished all the tracks. We're doing the mastering and figuring the order of which songs will go where and all that. And there's another great song called Where You Belong that there are 4 lead vocalists.
Okay.
And it's about, it uses the Beatles as an allegory. You're asking favorite songs.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is the one because it was one of the first songs I ever wrote. Howard Stern used to sneak it on the radio before he became the famous Howard Stern,
Yeah.
and got me my first record contacts with MCA and A&M Records, and it was just an amazing friend back in the day for doing that, and
Yeah.
he didn't have to.
Well, he did that for you.
I always wanted to record this song the right way, and Josh saw the vision and made it happen. It uses the Beatles as an allegory,
Yeah.
and Bernard sang the snot out of that one too, as John Lennon's part.
Nice.
So anyway, it hit me of what I'm trying to do and how I could say thank you to Bernard. My favorite Rolling Stones song is Gimme Shelter.
Right. So I was gonna play that for our break.
Okay.
Will you let me? But tell me why it's
Absolutely.
your favorite on there, like that.
Oh, why?
Give me shelter. Tell me about that song to you. What does it mean?
It's a song of hope.
Right.
Love is just a kiss away.
Right.
It doesn't get any better than that. After all the talk about war and all the stuff, and it turns into love.
That's right. Can we play it? So we
Sure.
can just snip it, Eric. I've been listening to that song all day.
I love that song.
The shadow way. Okay, that's
Sing it.
It's very, very, very lovely that I have another sponsor that I get to call out today.
Okay.
It's Roger Thompson and Thompson Commercial Real Estate Investment Services. He's a guy that's located right down from my office. When I relocated, he was one of my first friends there, and he made me feel myself too. He's like, "Hey, cool to have you in the neighborhood," and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be here because I'm doing telehealth, right? And that's one option that Red Shoe Project has an option. You're on Undone with Don McJoy, and my friend who is now just name bombed everybody in America
There's more.
in the world, I'm sure. But I have to kind of like encapsulate it for just a second and tell people what Red Shoe is about. It's about mental and emotional health care. We do low-cost clinic and things, but what I enjoy about Red Shoe was that it brought out the arty, quirky whatevers about me, and I became the biggest marketer for it, right? And I am the biggest marketer for it. And the sales and marketing of this radio show, Undone, is the version of... When I met you, we rocked out.
Yeah.
We were like, done. Take a tambourine and let's go. Put it, and you
Yep.
shoved a mic in my face, and you said, do this, like sing. And I go, please stop. I
The
don't-
imagery of that, people, no.
No, he was just mad. He was mad because I wasn't singing. He wasn't singing to my abilities.
I did encourage you.
You did. And
let you hold Sweet Pea too.
and once there's a dog involved, everything changes. And people
Yeah.
know me as a dog person and animals and babies. But I wanted to entertain the thought that, oh, yeah, a lot of people don't know that about me, that's what my passion was. I did karaoke places, contests with my friends, anything involving music. Red Shoe grew, and then my marketing grew because I found a clever song on the radio and it fit my mood, or I fit my devastation mood or whatever. So when I met you, you always wore sunglasses in your house. It's like, okay, he's a rock star. He's super rock star. But you also have, sensitivity to light, sounds, and things like me. And people don't understand that's considered a highly sensitive person. And then with rock and roll or the beats, it tends to soothe our body,
Oh,
does it
yes.
not? With the
Yes.
movement, okay? So tell me something fun where you just lost it and you just forgot that everything was out there, and you just
Oh,
rocked
gosh.
this song.
Gosh, there's so many different things. First, the first rock and roll injury I had, I was a baby in the crib. This is
Okay.
where I knew I was destined for music.
Okay.
There was a song on the radio. The radio was on the dresser. I'm in the crib reaching for the radio, and the sidebar fell down, and I fell splat on the floor and broke my collarbone.
Oh my goodness.
Blame it on rock and roll.
Rebel.
Then I saw the Beatles on TV on Ed Sullivan, and I was almost 4 years old, and I remember it as vividly as if it was yesterday, what I was wearing. Powder blue feety pajamas, trapdoor in the back, brown feeties. And I was sitting, head in my fist and elbows on the hardwood floor, and glued to the TV. And I thought, wow, this is what I want to do.
You wanted to be a rock star.
Yeah,
In a
then-
band.
Yeah, and then I started writing poetry at a very early age. In fact, in sixth grade, I wrote. We had 31 kids in the class, and I wrote all 31 poems in the personality that I envisioned these other people, how they would write, whether it be a haiku or iambic pentameter, a limerick, whatever it would be, and the subject matter based on what I'd observed about them in our first 6 years of school together. And everybody got an A, and the teacher didn't know that I wrote all the things. Bless you, sweet pea. And didn't know I wrote all the poems.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I ran away from home at 15. And instead of joining the circus or being a male prostitute in Boston in the winter because it's freaking cold, I went to college.
Yeah.
And I was a theater major and was still writing poetry. And I took a creative writing class, and the professor said, this looks like a song lyric. So I ran to a department store because I didn't even know what a musical instrument store was, and bought my first guitar, Mel Bay guitar book, and figured out the chords to my first song. One led
Yeah.
to four, six was only two more, and I was on a path.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I became a huge fan of Elton John through Bernie Taupin's lyrics. When the professor told me it would be, that looked like a song lyric, I was in a struggle of should I buy a guitar or a keyboard?
Sure.
Which way am I going to go? Elton John's Tumbleweed Connection album opens with a song called Ballad of a Well-Known Gun that opens with this guitar riff that sounds deceivingly easy, but when you see Caleb Quay, the man who did that, play that, you're like, holy smokes, he's got like octopus hands, how they're all over the fretboard, and
Yeah.
he moves so effortlessly. He glides, his hands glide over the fretboard. Guitar,
Guitar.
that's why.
That's why you picked it.
Fast forward,
Uh-huh.
the guitar that's sitting over here comes
Yeah.
from Saga Musical Instruments. They made that for me,
Wow.
and they gave it to me, presented it to me 5 minutes before I'm going on stage to perform with Caleb Quay,
My goodness.
the guy who
Yeah.
inspired me to pick up guitar
Yeah.
over piano. There was we're playing at a NAMM show booth. It's not perfect sound equipment. It's not mixed. There's not monitors. There's nothing. And this famous drummer walks down the aisle from a band called Aerosmith,
Of course. There it is.
and he looks at us without knowing who anybody was on the stage. I knew who he was. And he goes, they suck.
Wow.
There was a very famous guitar tech with us who is, his name is Alan Lane. He's retired now, but he's the tech to the stars. Alan is immaculate in how he took care of guitars. He heard it. He was standing by our little stage. He starts running down the aisle after this person, at the top of his lungs, started verbally undressing him, taking him down several pegs from being sorry. You don't know who the F these people are.
Right.
You don't understand what they're doing. How dare you? You would be nothing if it weren't for Joe Perry and Steven Tyler and blah, 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 blah. And you can't do Spit without them, and on and on and on and on. We are getting so amped up.
And?
I am just singing, my voice has just hit an extra octave of range.
Right, it gives
I'm
you
going
excitement.
nuts. I'm jumping around on this little stage like it's Madison Square Garden or
Yes.
something like that. All these people are stopping in the aisle and they're watching the scene down the aisle as
Yeah.
Joey was trying to get away from Alan berating him for being so rude to us. Everybody in the band is elevated and we are just rocking.
And you feel good about it all,
Oh
don't you?
my
The energy,
goodness.
right?
First of all, there were so many great things. Number one was that we were so stoked that somebody stood up.
Yeah.
Somebody stood up and said, no, that's wrong. And watching him do that and watching the people get into that and get into us, we fed off each other. The audience was digging the song.
That's right.
Lost it.
And you felt like it's a
Stratosphere.
different feeling, and you don't know it's a form of euphoria when you perform. You know, we got the last 5 minutes. You have taken up a beautiful time today, and you've explained some things to me, and I'm glad that you let me get to know you this way, because
come on.
you wouldn't, just because you're name throwing, it's an intimate relationship that you have with these people. It's not just names, they're actual human beings with souls that you've connected to this entire time.
There's so many.
It's
I'm
amazing.
honored to call my friends.
Yeah.
It's been, I feel like I've been in baseball fantasy camp for musicians for the last 20 or so years. I had my first tour of duty, so to speak, on the road. I was battling cancer at the time, and I never got to make it past that. But this has been,
it's been fun, right? It's
magical.
fun because I want to go out with David Bowie's Let's Dance, because there's a reason for this song.
Put on your
Red shoes and dance the blues, of course. But Bowie was an inspiration for a lot of us. We did Give Me Shelter. These things that we're doing. I do this for a reason. I want people to dance and have some fun.
Yeah.
And as a musician and just being your friend, you're not this serious. You're like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
You're very energetic, yet you've got a very, very deep story to you, Jeff, and I appreciate you sharing.
you.
And Cancer Surviving is now about how can we help one another, and then it turns into warrior status.
Thank you for giving me a voice today.
You're very
And
welcome.
I appreciate it, because here's the thing. The biggest thing that I learned through all of this is that nobody should have to go through it alone,
Right.
and I want to help.
Me too. And I appreciate you. And if you guys want more information on Jeff, I would visit, what's the website real quick on the Giving Shelter?
GivingShelter.bandcamp.com.
And camp. And I really appreciate you. my
Or
friend.
Giving Shelter on Facebook. Find me there.
Yeah.
Private message me through that Giving Shelter. I'm here to help.
Right. We just want to listen to you and want to give you some hope in the
Yeah.
world. Right.
And we'll rock out too.
That's right. Over the phone. And thank you so much for just bringing Sweet Pea, and she's ready to go. She's tired and she's done her job. And you do have your guitar here. And, you know, anywhere Jeff is, he always has at least one or two instruments in his car. And you know that's a fact. And he always wears sunglasses, and he's got a lot of more information and things on. If you do need somebody, you can call him, and you can also look me up on rspi.org, and
Yes.
you can donate to a cause like this. We help people with cancer and mental and emotional health care at Red Shoe too. So, and we work with Healing Strong, and healingstrong.org is a good resource for us to pray or do whatever you need to. So I'm a leader of that. And you are here on Undone with Don McJoy, and you have brought me joy today.
I adore you.
I love you too. So bye
I
tonight.
so love you.
You're very kind, and let's
Thank
dance,
you.
babe. Let's dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.